Muted? They said they can't hear you. Pardon me. Raka and Oracle said that they can't hear you. They hear me. What is it?
The settings reverted. Yeah,
Womp
so yeah, you can hear Chibi because Chibi took over last night, and you know, right before she took over, we were working on making it so that either one of us could access it from the same OneDrive folder, so that we can both stream and not have to worry about syncing settings. But either way, yeah, my computer didn't like it, so I had to reset a bunch of stuff today. I forgot that piece. So we're gonna start that again real quick. Hello. Greetings, adventurers of Vera. Welcome to Tavern Talk at the Golden Feather Tavern. We are Vertek and Chibi, keepers of this fine establishment. And just so you know, the Golden Feather Tavern is open to all travelers to come and share their thoughts on the inner workings of Vera over a nice tankard of ale, mead, hot chocolate, or any other delicious beverage of choice. So raise your glass, pull up a chair as we delve into tonight's discussion.
And I just want to quickly give a big cheers and a thank you shout out to Nuclear for resubbing for 12 months. That's one whole year.
Holy mackerel.
That you have tossed your coin to this tavern. So we appreciate you. Thank you, friend.
That is 1 year of Nuki. That is not nearly enough. We hope you stay around for a lot longer. You don't always need to sub, but we do appreciate it when you do.
Yes. So, speaking of appreciation, tonight, last minute, I have managed to pull in both Clover and McStackerson. And if you guys don't recognize these names, they were two individuals who took part of the Firebrand event. And we're excited to ask them some questions. So hello, Clover, and hello, McStackerson.
Hello.
Hey.
And
Welcome
how are
into
you
the
two
tavern.
doing this evening?
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh, we are
Glad to
always
hear.
happy to have you two on.
Yeah. Actually, I had a great first question.
Uh-oh.
Just to give them, like, our viewers a good baseline. What are your preferences when it comes to gameplay? Are you more focused on PvE, more focused on PvP, or kind of like a balanced gameplay? Just so that while you guys are talking about other things, that's something that they can keep in mind.
Are you a hardcore crafter and never leave the town? Clover.
I wonder who that could be. I love my crafting so very much. I do enjoy PvE and PvP both, but I will spend most of my time in town crafting. Over the years, I've found that I get gear score checked when I'm trying to do PvP or just do content in general, so I've focused on crafting, making the best stuff, as Steven would say, and once I have the best gear and I'm properly leveled, then I'd be out and about doing whatever.
Well, yeah, just so you know, this is the Tavern Talk, so I mean, cursing is fair game if you wish. You can drop an F-bomb every once in a while, and an S-bomb, like Crafter's making the best shit. It's
I mean,
still one of my
Steven does
favorite,
it, so
it's one of my favorite
we're rated
audio
M for
clips from
mature.
him. Yeah. We're rated M for maybe just a little bit more than teen, but not quite like full mature. We're somewhere in the middle. But yeah, and sorry, Chibi, you said you had another question for McStackerson. I just stomped all over that.
It's the same question for
Same
both.
question. Okay.
Oh yeah. It probably depends on the game. I play both PvE and PvP. Probably, especially in Ashes, leaning a little bit more on the PvP side. But I definitely enjoy PvE and the challenges.
Very fair. I myself am preferable towards the PvE side, although I am anticipating trying out PvP in Ashes. I'm not sure how excited I'm going to be about that until we get in there, though. Especially when they finally have everything properly set up. I think that's when I'll be most excited.
Time will tell. Yeah, I'm mostly PvE person. I like games that have good crafting to them, so I can do some crafting fun. But most games have absolutely terrible crafting systems, and by terrible I mean useless. They're only good to get you a bonus at max level, and that's about it. So it feels more like a chore to get to an end goal, and then you never touch it again. But I'm hoping I can adjust that a little bit, since Ashes is basically a PvP game that kind of sprinkles in some PvE activities. So hopefully I'll be able to change my opinion with Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see.
And the chat here is showing that we have a well-rounded group, because Garcimile likes to PvE and raid, but enjoys large group PvP, not much into crafting. Meanwhile, I'm over here being like, I'm going to be one of the top alchemists in the game. Let me go. I want to do it. So, yeah, I think we have. I love the different sides we have for the community in terms of like representing different play interests. So I'm pretty excited. The next question I had is, Clover, McStackerson, did you guys also take part in the Node Wars that we were able to talk about previously?
I was, I was in Node Wars. I believe we were on the same team.
Yeah.
I think we actually may have been on opposite teams, because I'm pretty sure I saw your name and heard my team yelling out, "Clover's in the middle, Clover's in the middle," and we had to rush and defend from Clover.
I suppose it depends which test of those tests.
Yeah, 1 through 6 was it?
I think so. Yeah.
You mean I bounced around all over the place?
Yeah, we even fought each other at one point. That was interesting.
I felt bad, but gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. What about you, McStackerson?
I was there for most of the tests. I didn't actually make the live stream, but the other tests I was part of. I was also jumping around teams. That's
fair. Yeah. They seem to be like swapping it up a bit, trying to figure out like what worked and what changed things. So the next question I asked then is, did you guys play the same class for Node Wars as you did this Firebrand test?
I did not. Bard was not available during Node Wars.
Fair, very fair.
Oh yeah.
I did. I've been playing Fighter since it came out and was available.
All right, awesome. All right,
I think you and me might be the minority, McStackerson. Everyone else is like, oh, I've tried all the classes. Every archetype, I've tried it at least once. Well, meanwhile, I'm like, tank every time except for one I did Bard.
I tried Bard a little bit, but I primarily stuck to Cleric myself as well. I think. Like, there's one time where I think I tried Ranger, but then I just was definitely not into the Cleric thing. And yeah, definitely not a thing. But the main reason why I'm asking is because I'm trying to see how much did the class change for you, especially when we're talking about things like the Bard reveal, right? Where there's like the change in your class tree. Like, did you see a change from the Node Wars to the Firebrand? If so, what was it? Because I know some of our community members certainly picked up on some Cleric changes that I didn't notice from the Node Wars to Firebrand. So I'm curious, what else changed, if you noticed anything else at all for the classes that you played? I know, Clover, you said you played 2 different classes. I just wasn't sure if you ended up testing the same one at all.
It's hard to say because Bard, we saw the reveal and then I got to try it here.
Right.
So I didn't really have a hands-on to see what was different between the reveal and what we had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fighter changed. Fighter definitely changed. Yeah. Before they were they're very I don't want to. It was like a circle. You had to commit points to unlock the option to get to other places. The Fighter changed so that for the most part you did not have to get certain skills to get others. You did
Mm.
have to commit a certain number of points to unlock the option to get to other skills, but it wasn't like it was before, where I had to get leap. I also had to get like charge, like another charge, and then I think that actually was the 2 for leap. But then after leap, I was able to get the alacrity stance, which was like the movement speed one. So
Okay.
now it was changed where you just have to spend so many points on whatever skills you want, and then you unlock like it's kind of different tiers. So.
Okay.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
So-
Now I think, yeah, go ahead, Vertex. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that. So I guess they changed it up to be more like what they showed off on the Bard reveal, where it like had more vertical tiers going up.
Oh, the talent tree system itself. You mean like the
I
way the
want to
talent
say
tree is set
yes,
up?
but I honestly don't. I mean, that sounds like how it is set up, but and I'd imagine they use the same philosophy for the Bard, as I assume this is how they want to do things going forward. But I do not remember the Bard off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just asking Vertex for clarification in case anybody else had that question too.
Yeah.
But that to answer the question, that was what you were asking, right, Vertex? Is the
Yeah,
three
yeah.
tiers? Okay, that's what we saw on the wiki as well. And we were talking with a few people, and a few people thought that looked a little cleaner, a little easier to understand.
I
But
think so.
I don't know. A lot of people are
tree
jealous
system.
of Bard.
Yeah, Bard got some special treatment. I think they got some love and attention.
You
Yeah.
can feel it. It's a good class.
I was gonna ask, so with Bard seeming to be as maneuverable as Ranger, from what I could tell, which one felt better to you, Bard or Ranger?
Ranger has verticality, where Bard is just sliding around a lot.
Fair. Did you throw a lot of tomatoes at people?
I did. I threw a tomato at the dragon so many times. I don't know if it actually did anything. I wasn't paying attention to its status effects. I was focused more on not dying, which I did a lot of.
That's fair.
Sorry, you were facing a dragon for the first time, so it's to be expected.
I imagine that'd be a little terrifying, honestly.
Demoralize
also here,
the dragon, says Simile.
there you go. Here's the link to the tree if anybody else is trying to mentally track what we're talking about. I felt like this tree change helps a little bit more with understanding like where you can start and how to get there. But yeah.
So
yeah.
About the Bard specifically, does it feel as mobile as it looks? Like, do you feel like you can just get around every which way really quickly and super awesomely?
Yeah, I don't know how to talk on that one because I feel like there was a bug in the current build.
Okay.
At a certain point in the tech tree, you can invest in a thing where whenever you do a dance, it resets your flourish, which is the slide.
Okay.
But without that node, I could stack up to 2 charges and reset it with a dance. So I think that wasn't intended. But I was dashing around constantly, dancing all over the place.
I like it.
Yeah, because I know we were talking to Pockets the other day about the Bard and the video that they showed off with the dragon, saying that Bucky was, when he was sliding through the raid doing the shield dance, he actually shielded 18 people. He went through and like slow-mo counted through the video.
That's crazy.
And that's just bananas with that much mobility to be able to slide around and grab everybody like that.
Yeah. As a healer, that's the part of the reason why I told people I was gonna try Bard, and everybody was like, "No, you have to stay cleric." And I'm like, "But Bard looks much more mobile." Jan has a question for you, Clover. How did you feel about Bard heals? Was it remotely competitive with cleric, or definitely more towards supportive?
I think they need to tweak it. It felt a bit too much for an off healer. I think they felt the same way, but it definitely was really strong with the heals. I felt like I was doing more healing than anything else during that fight.
That's fair.
Okay.
With the like the AoE and everything, I imagine it
Yeah.
makes it a lot easier too.
The shield dance actually heals as well. Each of those stomps you see in the animation does like a little heal effect as well as applying the shield.
That's pretty nifty, actually. They say thanks. And now for you, McStackerson, did Fighter feel better with the changes? Like, is it more what you were hoping out of Fighter, or just different?
Yeah, it didn't really change things. I kind of went about the same build. I maybe were able to spend my points a little bit more freely, and it felt better to spend my points.
Okay.
But as far as gameplay went, and like the abilities I had access to, it didn't really change.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I had a lot of feedback about the fighter, because I didn't play the fighter again. I just did tank, and like for a quick minute I did mage. And I think I said bard earlier, by the way, but no, it was like mage for like 10 minutes, and I said yeah, no, during the node wars test.
Yeah.
But with the fighter, I heard a lot of feedback that they felt really almost invincible, like they felt really powerful and self-sustainable. Did that still carry over? Do you think they did any adjustments for that with any upcoming update, or any updates since then, I should say?
I didn't really feel that. So I guess I'm not sure exactly how they got that. If they went like, if that's what from the alacrity, because I know if you improve your alacrity stance, it's supposed to heal you based off your momentum. I forgot the math on that. For some reason, I thought it was pretty low, but maybe that's what's keeping people up. Because besides that, I think the only other, I guess you have there's a cooldown that allows you to heal off damage, and the execute. But I guess the way I was playing, I wasn't getting that much healing from my kit, so I didn't feel that.
I mean, that kind of stacks up to how I felt with the tank, at least again during back in the node wars testing, because I felt like I could do some damage, and I could also be very tanky. Just when it comes to damage incoming, I felt like I could live a decent amount of time. There were zero self heals, really. I mean, there was one self heal. But aside from that, it felt pretty decent. But somebody else had commented that the tank couldn't do any kind of damage, really. And I think I just found that it was a skill selection issue. There were two skills that I picked out, 2 skill points I spent that they didn't. And maybe it's the same thing. Maybe someone else just chose 2 different skills and got that super self-sustained from the fighter.
Maybe, yeah. I also noticed, like, I don't know about you guys. Actually, this is a good question to lead into. But I noticed with the Node Wars, it kind of depended also on what gear you chose. Did they do kind of something similar as the Node Wars, where there was like a vendor to choose your gear from?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same gear guy.
Yep. We
I
had.
think there was maybe some slightly different options, but yeah, it was basically the same thing.
Gotcha.
I don't think there's any higher level equivalent of the spellbook yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor spellbook.
Sadly. Not that it would have helped too much in the dragon fight. It's an AoE weapon.
Right. I did also see like they had stabs, I think, because somebody asked on stream, like, hey, I saw that there's stabs. Like, do you intend to have stabs before quarter 3, or when are stabs coming in and other weapons like that? And they're like, no, or not quarter 3, sorry, phase 3. And he was like, yeah, no, most of that's coming in phase 3 still. But sad to hear there's not like an up to book, a bigger book.
Oh no!
I don't know
if you
how
get
to
a
say
big
it.
enough AoE splash, you can get the dragon on the nose, head, tail, and wings at the same time.
Yeah, it depends on how you orient the AoE, right? He's a big boy. If you go vertically.
There you go. All right, so now the easy / tough question for you guys. What was your favorite part of the dragon fight? What's the most memorable, like either WTF or oh that's amazing part of that fight?
I think just the fight as a whole was just it felt like a fun fight. You were constantly reacting to its mechanics.
Nice.
Things, since there were so many AoE mechanics, things kind of got hectic.
It looked
so-
hectic from our perspective.
Yeah.
We saw people like running around and then realizing that they weren't dying and then like going back in.
So yeah, I don't think there's one thing I'd say stood out, but as a whole, I think it was a fun experience.
I think for me, it's just Bard in general. The ability to slide through and shield up an entire raid right before a big AoE attack is just a lot of fun. And when you protect the party like that right before the stomp AoE or like a fire breath goes out, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's like you get a shield and you get a shield and you get a shield all while sliding. That's awesome.
Okay, now the tougher or easier question mark is now that we've talked about your favorite part, what was there anything that you thought was either ill-designed or just didn't feel good in the fight, or something that you would offer as feedback as a I didn't enjoy this and I hope you could do this better, or something along those lines?
I definitely this is the easier question for me, because every time I think back, it's just to this one point where you can see it in the live stream from Bucky's perspective, actually, at about like 43 minutes in. The dragon goes up, starts doing its flame breath attack where it just streaks across the battlefield. But right at the start of that, there's no like warning that an attack is coming. There's no animation on the ground showing where it's gonna hit. You just take a fuck ton of damage and you pretty much die. Like almost everyone died right there.
Okay, so even watching as a spectator, I thought that as well, because I saw the dragon, because it was when the camera was like way back over on this side and the dragon was back by the citadel, and you just see a bunch of people getting attacked, and then out of nowhere somebody goes, "Oh, the fire breath," but it's already flying and breathing fire at the same time. Yep. Steven was trying to call it out, but it was already happening and there were already people dead.
Like you can see it go up, but you can't tell where the initial attack is gonna land, and then you just take all the damage.
Like, at least from the angle that we had from Steven's camera, I couldn't even tell that it was in the air until it was already breathing fire and flying forwards. It looked like it was just rearing back to do like a tail whip or something.
Yeah. That actually brings up the question for me about how fun were the mechanics for you? Because it looked, I mean, obviously from our perspective, it looked kind of chaotic, but at the same time, there was a couple of those, that actually didn't hurt them, like especially what looked like the fire ring walls that kind of went out. But if you were between them, it seemed like that didn't actually hurt you.
Yeah, real quick, I'll keep that one in mind in case it slips. But McStackerson, what was your least favorite?
Oh, sorry.
No worries, no worries.
I don't think I really had anything that stood out as like anything I didn't like, I would say. Yeah, I think that's my answer. I don't really have anything.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, sometimes there's just not like a big negative thing that pops out.
Yeah.
And Chibi, yours was
Just asking about the mechanics. How fun were they?
Fun mechanics. All right. Did you need to duck away for a moment?
Just for a moment, yes.
Okay. But yeah, like overall, how engaged did you feel in the moment? Because it's different seeing it from a third person point of view versus being in the action. I know people before have said, calling things out super easy in like PvP conflicts that I've been in while streaming, and while in the moment things weren't quite that obvious. But how did it feel while you were engaged with the dragon?
It felt pretty good. I was focused more on the positioning of everyone else, because that's how the class works for Bard, is you just have to be near people to give out buffs. And it was hard trying to focus on following the group while also doing mechanics. because people would just start scattering at certain points, and I'd be like, okay, which way do I go? Oh wait, I should be dodging.
Which cat do I chase? Which cat do I chase?
Yep.
All right. What'd you think about the encounter overall there, McStackerson?
Yeah. And maybe I can actually answer the previous question too. For the most part, I liked it. You were constantly looking for the mechanics. It did the the stomp mechanic. It spammed those out. So trying to dodge those, I think you were able to dodge them if you jumped. I hit and missed with that. So I felt like it kept me on my toes. I was constantly looking for something.
So like get off the ground while he's stomping type of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
That said, maybe the downside, or what I didn't like as much about the boss, is it was just a dance where you're just dodging different abilities. Besides the part where you have to kill mobs for so he doesn't get a huge buff. Besides that, it was kind of there just wasn't a lot of variety of mechanics. So it's kind of just dodge this, dodge that, and so that kind of made it like almost like a one-dimensional fight.
Gotcha. Now, out of curiosity, maybe you both recall at least all the pieces of this question, but the dragon, I think Steven said that was like a level 25 dragon. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and I know I saw somebody was level 20. Were you all level 20?
Yes. We were supposed to be, at least. I think some people leveled up to only 15 on accident, but they wanted us at 20.
Oh no. So they probably got nuked real easy with that fire breath. Nice. But the question I had with that is, and I don't know how much of it they've released for like verbal NDA. I wasn't able to be part of that test. I was traveling. Chibi was too. But with that, did you guys knock it out first try, or did it take a couple runs through to be able to defeat the thing?
I'm comfortable talking about it. I don't know if they want us talking about it, but they lifted it for everything related to Firebrand.
Yeah.
So there was a bug where every 10 minutes the event would reset, including Firebrand.
Oh no.
Yep. So we'd get about halfway through the fight, and then he'd disappear, fly back in full health, and they'd just have to nuke it, and we'd continue on from there.
Gotcha. Okay. So so it was not exactly a one shot, but did it feel like it could have been if
yeah, it definitely, we could have done it in one go if it weren't for that.
Okay. So
Well, I think there's another problem where there's a spawn point right next to Firebrand, so you can kind of zerg him down.
Yeah.
I died twice, and I didn't wait for revives. I just spawned and ran in. So I'm wondering if that's intended for the final fight, because if we didn't have that, I don't think it would have been as easy of a one-shot.
That's fair. I spent most of my time dead, and I was waiting for reses. Steven was going around doing a good job at resing people whenever he could. But most of my time was spent on the ground just waiting for that.
The res master. But yeah, because I was curious about that, because I mean I know that, and this is a disclaimer. This is alpha content that we're discussing. Everything is subject to change. Balance passes have not been made. But I was just curious what the initial quote unquote balance pass was with throwing it in there and doing at least some balancing for the live stream to make sure it wasn't going to look like too cheesy or too difficult. But yeah, I was just curious about that.
Yeah, if people couldn't run in, I think it'd actually be a decently hard fight in its current state, at least at the levels we were at. Just because he's constantly... I guess you played a healer, so maybe you have a better idea of this, but I felt like he was constantly pressuring us with all those AoEs. So people were like being worn down and would die.
Just, being able to AoE heal is nice for that, because you'd see him stomp and you'd just be like, okay, time to start the heals, because everyone needs it.
Now, what was that? What was that one mechanic I saw Steven talking about? Like, was it Steven that called it out? The bomb, or where it looks like everybody was just on fire, and I just thought people were burning for a quick second, but apparently it was going to explode.
Yes. I wasn't actually sure about that one myself. I remember I was the first one to get marked with it. I don't exactly know the mechanics behind that one. It's just you start to glow, and after a certain amount of time, you explode and leave a little AoE on the ground. Those little fire circles you see.
Yeah. Little fire puddles.
And it does a lot of damage over time to people who stand in it. So you have to, whoever is marked has to run away, make sure those things don't end up in the main ball of people fighting. Then you go back to fighting.
Okay. So I was thinking that was a tricky one to predict if you didn't know what it was doing, because to me it just looked like, hey, they were close when the dragon exploded and did fire stuff, so they caught on fire. But yeah, someone called out rather that it was a fire bomb, and at that point I started watching. What is? Did it kind of feel like that at the time when it was first called out?
They called something out, and I noticed I was glowing, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then I just died because I was low health, and it went off.
I like that. Oh, this is cool, and then I just died. That's the phrase of the day. It's fantastic. Oi. So, I know the one thing people were mentioning, and I don't know if they talked about this at all, or if they mentioned if it was shortened or whatnot, but the quest for that whole thing, did you guys take part in doing that little quest line at all, or was that discussed or mentioned at all during the test, or were you guys kind of just hanging off on the side waiting until you were summoned to help and assist?
The last one. We were, you saw us all in formation. We were just spending most of the time sitting there waiting.
Gotcha.
That was great, by the way. Was that Intrepid's idea, or did somebody in the group decide to just start forming ranks?
I honestly don't remember. We just we were told to like get with our parties, so we just started forming lines, I think.
That's fair.
That's great.
It was like make a line. I liked it. It looked visually pleasing watching him come around the corner.
Yeah.
So.
It looked like you walked around the corner and you guys were all just literally marching down the street in rank and file, ready to go.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. I've been talking for a good minute.
Out loud. I was just thinking out loud. Sorry guys, I have a work thing popping up and I'm kind of keeping an eye on it. But for now, I think I have it taken care of. But yeah, I was just wondering, compared to the Node War, I guess, which is a bit more PvP focused, how fun? Because I mean, we all, by the way, just in case there's anybody out there, I get this question at least once a month. What is PI? That is Phoenix Initiative. That is what all four of us here are. And Phoenix Initiative was a backer level, so there was different tiers that you could back, and the tier that we all backed at is called Phoenix Initiative. So my question was going to be, compared to the test that we all got to participate in, which is the Node Wars, how fun was Firebrand in comparison? I know Node Wars was a bit more PvP centric, this was a bit more PvE centric, but still just trying to gauge.
I enjoyed it. I think this is definitely something that, like, in-game could be a PvP-centric thing, and trying to deal with all of Firebrand, who can already wipe most of the raid, along with contesting it against another raid, that would be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's definitely really hard for both sides.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I mean, especially with the whole the AI aims for the most people possible to drop skills on. Oof. Just imagine if that's also how it targets those little flame balls, the time bombs.
Oh yeah, you get the little buff and then run into the enemy raid, so you could blow up on them.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Didn't think about that.
Hey, I mean, three sacrifices go into the group. Go, 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 go. Nukes
Yeah,
the
I would say
entire
probably
raid.
enjoyed the PvP a little bit more, just because it was kind of more combat. This was waiting around a lot and then doing a boss. So probably just because of the amount of combat I gotta do. Plus, I like PvP probably a little bit more. I would probably say I preferred the no wars over this one.
That's fair. Absolutely fair.
Oh man, I'm just trying to imagine, kind of like you were saying there, Clover, about how much more interesting / chaotic and just bananas in general it would be to bump into a dragon like that, start fighting it, and then another group tries to take it down, and they try to take you out so that they can get credit for it. And next thing you know, you're all fighting over a dragon that slays everybody. We're not. I mean,
Ooh.
who knows?
What did you guys think about the group up mechanic where specifically the boss would target the groups of people versus like the spread out people?
I like that. That's honestly, it feels in most MMOs where you just have the main tank in its face and the entirety of the raid just sitting on its butt, doing pretty much just like sitting on its tail the whole time and not ever having to worry.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's gonna focus the largest group for certain attacks it makes you think more. You don't turn your brain off and just DPS.
Changes it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also-
I was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it also gives you kind of a reason to spread out.
Mhm.
Just balling up so everyone's getting the heals and everything is less incentivized further by that.
Yeah. I imagine that would make it like healing the wide raid harder, but also because it's not focusing a big chunk of the raid, there's not a need to do a wide heal like that. Speaking from a cleric's perspective,
Yeah, yeah.
it'd probably help with like still like bopping people as they need heals, I'd imagine.
Yeah. And did they by the way, before going into this, did they explain anything about the raid besides, or the boss activities or anything about it outside of, hey, we're gonna go slay a dragon or try to?
Don't think so. I mean, it is something we fought in Alpha 1. So people remembered a lot of things from that.
Oh, you know what? Is it the same dragon? Because I know Chibi and I missed that part. We were there for like the first, I think, 4 days of Alpha 1, and then we had to move, and by the time we got done with the move and everything got situated and we actually had our computers plugged back in and set up, it was all done.
It was... You had to do a quest line to get a recipe for an amulet of like fire protection or something, just to be able to even approach the boss.
Interesting.
Oh,
Okay. Garcimile wants to know, did aggro ever seem to be an issue? I know y'all weren't tanking, but did the tank lose aggro or was it pretty locked in?
Kind of hard to tell because the boss does like kind of do have mechanics where it looks at like biggest group and stuff like that. So if it was losing aggro, I didn't notice it.
I was just mostly only noticing the AoEs hitting me, and then when it went into the sky and murdered me over and over again.
Lather, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I think most of its attacks stayed on the main tank that we had.
Okay. Well, I guess that's good. Either he's really super awesome, or tanks can at least hold threat without trying to try too hard, I hope. Because I'd rather be able to pay attention to the battlefield than have to make sure I spam all my buttons.
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, by the way. Sorry to look disengaged. Work thing is happening over here, but welcome in, oh god, zombies.
Yeah, welcome on in.
And Oracle has a fun question about crafting.
So, if each crafting profession had something that can only be used in a node siege, what would you like it to be?
each. That's what, 8 different
Huh.
items?
Yeah. Holy mackerel.
That is a lot.
I don't know. I would say
I mean,
pieces to a greater puzzle myself.
There are a few that I think are meant to be like siege crafting. Like you can craft ballistas or what they have. What was it? Trebuchets in Alpha 1.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where I was going with my brain is if each crafting profession had something that could only be used in a node siege. I think I'd like it to personally see it be pieces of a ballista or catapult or trebuchet, and the mayor had to unlock the patterns for that in order to use it. So they had to unlock the blueprints for it through research or whatever lore-based thing is added to explain it, and then crafters had to provide the pieces.
I don't know what the armor smithing would be though. Like, what would you have an armor or make specifically for a siege?
Oh, we'll
Maybe
see
like
with
a
that.
battering ram or something.
Yeah, like battering rams for the
walls.
doors.
They could
You
do
know how,
walls
like,
too. Yeah.
There's also for armor smithing, I'm thinking armor, like there's the hunter where like the hunter could make those like extra armor patches, or like where you can add extra bits of armor to your, as like, I don't know if I'm even explaining this right.
Padding?
Yeah, kind of like padding. Yeah.
I feel like you could use that in non-siege setting too.
Maybe like a reinforced armor though for like your siege engines. You could put like armor plating on them to make them more resilient or something like that, so that they don't make their own thing, but they can contribute.
I figured there would also be something to do with, for a ballista, crafting maybe the arrow points, because a weaponsmith might be really good at making small versions of it, but maybe the weaponsmith and blacksmith had to work together for that, because blacksmith for armoring anyway would end up being used to working with larger pieces of metal, and the weaponsmith would be used to making weapons out of it, sharp edges, etc. So maybe the armor smith had to make the larger shaped lump, and the weaponsmith would have to sharpen the edges or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I'm loving the ideas you're coming up with. This is also coming from the person, Oracle, by the way, is obsessed with what was that anime again? Not Grand Blue.
Frontier, Shangri-La Frontier.
Shangri-La, there we go. So just the ideas of the way that they use crafting in that, and the unique things that they're able to create with those crafting mechanics. It's just really interesting, and we've spoken at length at like how difficult it would be for an MMO to kind of reflect those same ideals from the anime. And I think having a special reason, already from being able to hear how they're developing the crafting stuff, there's going to be a lot of need for the other classes, if you will, artisanship classes. So I love that there's already a lot more to the whole entire, like, I am not just relying on myself and my herbs as an alchemist. I might need something from metalworking. I might need something from woodworking. Who knows? And vice versa. People might need stuff from me as an alchemist. And I really like that. I know it's a huge tangent off of Firebrand, but I'm just thinking of like food buffs and like alchemy buffs that you could get from some of these things, or special armors. Like after everything was said and done, obviously it actually dropped the armor pieces, and they said that the intent was for it to drop pieces for you to craft the armor, not the actual armor pieces themselves. But I know, Clover, you being as excited about crafting as I am, how repeatable would you see Firebrand being? And the idea of potentially being able to get him in other ways as well. We talked on, I think, Saturday about the potential of what if you got him as a youngling dragon initially, and then after you defeated him, he went off in a way and he came back and he was a little bit more of a young adult or adult phase dragon.
I think it would be good to repeat. I remember theory crafting with my guild about stuff for nodes and just crafting in general, and I know I don't think it's been talked about in a while, but they had mentioned something about deconstructing items to get blueprints and materials out of, and if he's dropping those high-end weapons that we saw in stream, we could bring it to a deconstruction station for legendary materials and stuff to be used in other things, get the blueprints out of those. And yeah, it'd be a good way to get high-end materials, at least, by repeating them.
Mhm.
Yeah. And my biggest question, and this is me just speculating at this point as a person who's looking forward to Ashes, is how repeatable will some of these world bosses be, and how hard will they be to repeat? You know, little difficult.
Definitely felt like this one would be harder to repeat, because this one was based around a relic quest line, I think. And only, like, the relic is once per server, right? The Orb of Power, or whatever it was called.
That and
Dragon Egg.
honestly, even outside of that, I think it'd be hard to repeat. For one, because of, you know, raid timers and all that, or raid boss timers and all that, even if it weren't, you know, a one-time only event because of the relic, but also because in an area that it looked very wide open and viewable from a distance. So people could see from really far away, I'm sure, that there was a dragon flying in and people were fighting it. So it's likely to become contested, I would think.
Yeah. Ooh, here's a question I kept getting. How did combat feel for Firebrand? Did it feel different from the Node Wars at all? In any way that you noticed? And if so, what changed otherwise in general? Like, is it feeling good in a PvE setting?
I'd say it is, but I think most of what I'm just noticing is performance improvements, and I'm also I have a better understanding of the class. And I think they have made some tweaks to the class to make it be a little bit more of a combo system. So yeah, I guess I'd say it feels good.
It feels pretty good. When it comes to raid bosses, it's always hard. Bard is a heavy CC-based class, which obviously you're not going to be stunning Firebrand.
Right.
So a lot
as much as we wish.
A lot of it wasn't really too useful to it.
You need like 3 nat 20s to stun Firebrand.
Yeah, you smack him with the flute, he's probably not going to stutter too much.
Yeah.
If he even noticed it to begin with. I mean, flute hitting me versus a sharp sword.
Yeah.
I think he got mad at the tomatoes a few times, though. I did die after throwing a tomato.
I mean, I don't think anybody likes having tomatoes thrown at them, to be fair. So I could see the aggro on that one.
Fair. So here's a I think a relatively important question that's kind of obvious but not. Between Node Wars and now, have you noticed a performance difference in the game itself, as far as especially just with that many people on the screen? I know how it felt during different stages of the Node Wars testing, but did it feel like they've come even further when it came to grouping up and fighting Firebrand?
I'd say definitely yes.
Yeah, I definitely noticed it. I always talk about when talking about Node Wars is the first test, extremely rough performance-wise. Second test, a lot better, but still terrible. And by the end of it, it was pretty smooth. I only had like one time I had to restart. And now I didn't have to restart. I think only throughout the whole recording stream.
And Node Wars, I think, was back in what, May?
April, May.
April,
I
May.
think it was
Like,
Holy
May.
mackerel.
I'm like somewhere between April and June. That was Node Wars. I don't know which one of those it was, but it's somewhere in there.
Was it really May?
But,
It seems like it has not been that long.
and
It
it's
doesn't feel
already
like it's been that long.
September.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, no, I was just wondering because or just wanting to remark about the fact that we have this testing where we as PI are experiencing like these rough tests, and then they get progressively smoother, and now we advance up to August technically, because yes, we are in September, but they tested in August and the live stream was in August. But now going fast forward into August, and like you're saying, you don't even have those issues, you don't have to restart or anything. I think that's showing just how quickly, I mean, not only within those 6 tests, but within months, they are progressing these things and making it more stable. And I imagine that as they increasingly, as Stephen mentioned, add more A1 people for different tests and whatnot leading up to Alpha 2, I imagine they're just going to continue their track of being able to continuously improve upon the performance. And I'm very excited to see what that feels like in October. I can't believe it's already October, basically. In a month and a week or so, it's when we're going to be able to see the first phase. I'm excited for it. I know I'm going to want to try out Bard because you're making Bard sound really cool. Bucky made Bards look amazing, to be honest.
He is the master of Bard.
Bucky is a registered superhero.
There you go.
Like card carrying member.
Card carrying member. Right up there with Keenan, I think, for Ranger. My next question would be kind of on that point of, looking forward to phase 2, or phase 1 even for Alpha 2. My goodness. Based on your experiences with, the fight, what has you most excited now for the phase 1 testing? And while they think about that, Nemesis says it would be nice if we see Firebrand flying through the area from time to time, and it's an area when not being triggered for a fight. It gives us ambiance that the world is alive. I completely agree with that.
I actually would like the idea of like some kind of big angry is going to absolutely destroy a raid instantly when they first encounter it type of open world boss, like that hangs out in the mountains or whatever. But that same creature is just kind of casually wandering through the valleys and just completely ignores you when you try to attack it. I mean, there's no way you're going to kill it because you're really not doing damage to it for one reason or another. Insert lore here on why. But it's just casually strolling and ignores you completely when you try to attack it. And yet, if you try to see it in the mountains, like in its home, it absolutely just eviscerates you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a pin in my thought, mainly because I did ask Clover and McStackerson the question, but then I want to go back to another idea that I had based off of that.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, based off your experience with Firebrand, is there anything that has you now more so excited to test, or something you're looking forward to with phase 1 for Alpha 2? Like, I don't know if, like, for example, you, Clover, the difference between Ranger and Bard, or like wanting to expand on the differences, maybe even if Ranger changed. So looking forward to potentially testing that, or for you, McStackerson, the changes in Fighter. Like, just anything that like has you more so excited for Alpha 2 phase 1 now.
I think I just miss it in general. Like, I miss running around and doing Bard stuff. I also am pretty excited to see what kinds of other world bosses we might get, and the loot drops we get as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we're not getting into phase 1, but seeing the relic got me a little excited to see that kind of gameplay unfold in the alpha phases. Like, how is that going to be like when, like, because I assume that happens just the first time the story arc plays out. So one node will get that relic, and how will that affect like the server communities, and what will happen?
Yeah, very fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm feeling kind of the same thing. Like, I know that was your answer based on the most experienced or the most recent experiences, but just in general, I think I'm in the same boat of the thing I want to test in Alpha 1, and I'm looking forward to testing in Alpha 1 is Alpha 1.
Yeah, same.
Or Phase 1 rather. Alpha 2 Phase 1.
I don't know.
I think
kids. I think I got a little spoiled because Pockets pulled stuff from the live stream, so now I'm itching to see how Cleric has changed, if at all. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty stoked to see what that's like. Because again, once they put out Bard, if Bard is as powerful as you're saying, I'm sure they're going to be looking at that and being like, okay, how do we readjust? And how does Cleric live up to this, being that Cleric is the primary healer? And how does Bard adjust from there as a secondary healer / support? Very excited to see the adjustments that they make in general with all the classes, because I mean, there's a lot of people that have said, especially with the node wars, that they prefer the fighter, as they tested the fighter over the tank at that time. And I know Vertec, you're all about that tanky life. So
I am about that tanky life. Tank from now till ever.
Yeah.
Wait. I mean, I'm just saying. Alpha 2 Phase 1 was made for me. Vec tank. Let's go.
I guess my final question would be, is there anything that you wish to share? Like any sort of, because again, we are a positive space. We're not here to slander Intrepid. This is Alpha 2. There are bugs. We experienced it during the Node Wars. It sounds like you guys experienced it during, Firebrand. It happens. They're fixing them. But is there anything that you would take away, or like wish you could see more of, wish you could have tried more of, etc., with regards to like the boss test? Yeah.
I wish I didn't die as much. I wish I did not have skill issues that time.
Well, if it helps, as a person from the sidelines, I didn't notice at all.
Yep.
I wish I could have tested more out with the different songs Bard has. I was going with a crescendo, which is the over time your song gets more powerful instead of being able to keep 2 songs up at once.
Oh, yeah.
No Gambit Bard either.
That is what killed me.
Oh.
I used Gambit once and it just immediately did a stomp attack and I had no health.
That's hilarious. Oh, no. So you didn't do this thing? No, I did do that thing. That killed me.
Mistake. Biggest mistake. Gambit.
That exchange was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so they gave you enough points to be able to experience, because if I'm recalling, when they did the reveal, those were like one of the top 2 rows or something of that as skills. So they give you enough to be able to really experiment and reach really far up.
Yeah, with level 20, we got pretty much enough to try whatever we wanted, really. We had the sagas and epics that Bard gets as like their ultimate abilities. I think one of them got used on stream. It made people like float a bit more. You could see them bouncing around, I think.
Okay.
Towards the end.
I need to watch that again.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that is supposed to help in a combat situation, but I did notice people like floating about. I know they had some. Like what?
Kind of like Catfall from APOC? I guess I didn't see it. It sounds interesting.
It was like moon jumping, like moon physics.
Okay, like really slow jumping and falling at the same time.
And you go higher, but I really don't know how that would affect a combat thing, other than like if you could jump over the stomp attacks.
I mean, yeah, that'd be a mage's dream right there, right? Jump once, avoid a stomp, and maybe avoid some flame on the ground, and shoot the boss with some lightning, and casually make your way to the ground.
Hmm.
Boy, so I had a question in mind a little bit ago. I'm trying to remember what it was because I got completely distracted with the comments that were made about the dragon since then. No, this has been really fun. So I guess the main question that I would have for you two then would be, of any like talking that you've done with others at this point, or with you at least, McStackerson, you've been on another like podcast, right? So has there been anything that you just, when the podcast ended, was there just something hanging that you wish you'd been able to talk about that you weren't able to?
Not really. I mean, I feel like there isn't that much to talk about. I feel like people kind of saw what we experienced.
Okay.
So
Not comparable at all to the Node Wars where there's like multiple tests to base off of.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay.
And different interactions with like one class fighting another. You can't really get
Many
that. We all
different-
thought the same thing here.
Right.
Many
That's
different
fair.
conflicts, etc.
That's fair.
Well, did you have any last things you wanted to close out with? Because I think it's probably about that time. And by probably about that time, I mean it is that time to go ahead and start closing up shop here. And I will start looking out for someone to raid over to.
I don't have anything more to ask, but I do know we're trying to get Clover on for another, well, not another podcast, but for a podcast, because we have yet to have Clover on, except for now. Yay. But we had McStackerson on previously. No NDA for Alpha 2. Once you have access into Alpha 2, the NDA should be lifted unless they say otherwise. That is what I'm referring to, either the Alpha 2 Phase 1 key, which begins in November, or the Alpha 2 access that you have in October. Those should be non-NDA. And if you get invited, like let's say you're Alpha 1 and you end up with one of those legendary emails they're talking about, they'll probably tell you if you're under NDA or not. We can't tell you because we're not Intrepid staff, but as PI, they were given release of verbal NDA. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Do you guys have anything that you want to shout out? Anywhere you want people to try to find you, rep your guild, etc.?
I'll rep Overlord. It's a great guild. We got. I saw a more recent Reddit post that's just tracking all the different guilds and said we have something like 500 members in our Discord, but I think we only have about 150 to 200 actual members.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Still a lot.
both econ and combat side. So I'm obviously on the econ side for crafting.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a good vibes kind of guild. But we are competitive as well.
I mean, I just gotta say, I have not met one Overlord person that I've disliked. You guys have all been great.
Same.
Everyone of you
I'd like
folks
to
has
hear
been
that.
awesome.
And McStackerson.
I mean, I don't really rep things, but I feel like I guess I should rep Envious since that's the guild I'm part of. Yeah, I sound like we're similar to Overlord. We can claim things like I think we have the most people in PI, and I think we had the most people in Alpha 1, so we can Zerg people. I don't know if that's a good thing, but yeah, if you want a big group of competitive but still chill gamers, I assume we're still looking for people.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. The different people are like, we're not opening for new members, or they're like, we're always looking for new members. So, yeah. Yushato is saying, I have to start meditation to counter all of my excitement because they have Alpha 1 or Alpha 2 Phase 1 key. And so they can't wait to connect with us from the other side of the planet. So excited for that. But yeah. Thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a nice chill chat about Firebrand. And we can't wait to see you guys in Alpha 2 with us. If you're not going to be in Alpha 2 with us, please consider coming and hanging out with us and telling us what you want us to test, because that's exactly what we'll be doing. We have a whole lot of stuff planned for those of you that are subscribed. I'm starting to reveal some of those secrets to you ahead of time. But if not, remain to be surprised and excited. And of course, we are having our roleplay summit on Saturday. So, yeah. Excited for that.
Looking forward to it. We got all our beans in a row, all our ducks in a pod, all that good stuff. Ready to go for this Saturday. And I'm excited. It's going to be fun times. It's going to be fun times.
And hello, Nira. You are just in time for us to go raid a Droog who is playing World of Warcraft. Because I would rather watch other people play World of Warcraft instead of getting sucked back in myself.
Yeah. Right, but everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you.
33 months. Thank you.
33 months? Never. You are fantastic. You are a superhero.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody tell you different. Just don't try to fly. Okay? You can't fly.
And we are a little over halfway to our goal for the charity stream goal for a Gothic Aurelia. So
I dig it.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody, thank you for hanging out. Clover and McStackerson, especially thank the both of you for hanging out with us and sharing your
especially
views
last minute
on this dragon fight. It's much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Anytime. I love talking ashes.
Yeah, same. It's so hard to like not do it.
It is. We annoy our friends sometimes outside of the community because we're like, hey, so you hear about this game? And they're like, no. Well, let us tell you about it. We don't play video games at all. But did you hear that they're also going to do this thing? And they really don't care.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, 8 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Okay, bye. Love you, everybody. Thank you. Time precious, all that good stuff. Okay, bye.